Had to shut my door to stop the echo. Make
Those
sure,
are
that, make sure we got, I got Bill on the line. Yep. Bill's in.
And for some reason tonight, when I got here early, relatively speaking, that is, my laptop fired right up instead of taking 20 minutes like normal.
It knows.
I know, yeah. So there's Evan and Snohomish and Commissioner Flath and Whitney and Michael.
So you just got to give me a few seconds heads up to let Bill go. And we can.
Oh, we got 4 minutes yet.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Evan is incognito tonight.
What? Oh, with my mustache?
No, we don't.
No,
you don't have your camera on.
we don't have any picture.
Oh. Better?
Not yet.
Huh.
Might take a minute.
It says it's on.
We see EM.
That's really weird. It shows that it's on, and it's not muted.
Okay. Well, let's see. If I go mute video, mine goes away. If I unmute it, it comes back.
Yeah, it says I'm on. It says I'm up. And I see the little camera. Oh well.
You don't
Not
have
that
any duct tape over your camera or anything?
No, not at all. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. I don't know. Oops. Now he went away.
We were talking, commissioners, if you ever want it for whatever reason, I bought a new copy of the full Roberts Rules book, but then I also have a few laminated cheat sheets of the most commonly used things in case you ever want them to run a meeting, whether it's you're not used to it or it's going to be a contentious meeting. We have those to reference.
Oh, that'd be
Excellent.
sweet.
I would love one of those laminated copies.
Yep.
Okay, they're in my office.
I'll pick one up.
Yep. Thank you. Hmm.
2 minutes, roughly.
Yeah, I'm in settings and it says no device, which is weird because I don't. It's built into this computer, so.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've been in the backdoor programming, Evan, and trying to
Yeah.
do some coding on your computer.
Yeah, I've been doing some blogging, you know.
We're looking for an IT contract that's on tonight, so maybe you want to take a stab at it for us.
No, not even a little bit. Way outside my realm of expertise.
And a friendly reminder, since we're doing this, since it's a special meeting, we cannot adopt or adjust the agenda. So I should have taken that off as number 2, but old habits. Or we can adopt, we can't adjust.
Okay. So according to the phone here, it's 2:13 p.m.
I have 7 by my 2 computers and my
7 o'clock by the computer. I have 6:59 by the phone and my watch, which is synced with my phone, so that doesn't surprise me. It's 2:13 still on the phone. So we'll call this meeting to order at 1900 hours
hold on.
as soon as they get
Jim,
video.
I gotta unmute first.
Yes, okay, unmute.
And when Bill gives us the thumbs up. Okay, we're live.
Live? Okay. So we'll call this meeting to order at 1900 hours. And, 1901, excuse me. And do we have any changes or adjustments to the agenda?
And being a special meeting, we can't.
Oh. Okay, so then, you said that already. Minutes of the previous meeting, any changes, adjustments?
No, I didn't see anything.
I don't have anything, but I wanted to ask about special meetings. So if we have a special meeting during the month, when we only are scheduling according to the calendar, if we adopted one, then we couldn't change that agenda. Is that what you're
Correct.
saying?
When you publish the agenda, the 24 hours notice, we can't adjust the agenda once it's published. We can have
For a
as much.
special-
Yeah, we can have as much and anything on the agenda we want, but once it's published, it can't be amended.
That's for a special meeting.
Correct.
Okay. A regular meeting, we could change it and so forth like that without an issue then.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to be clear on that.
Yep.
Okay, and tonight's meeting is a regular meeting?
It says it's special.
Special. So
The minutes that I'm looking at say, hold it, just a minute. Yeah, the minutes I'm looking at, or no, the agenda I'm looking at. Was there an updated one?
Yes, we sent out an updated one.
That's the problem. I'm looking at the wrong one. Special meeting. Okay, there we are.
Chief Waller, you still have your announcement out there that the meeting will start shortly.
Thank you. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll adopt the agenda as presented since there's nothing else we can do about it. In the minutes, no changes or adjustments. So I'll make a motion. We approve the previous minutes as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Regular meeting schedule. So we changed the schedule or made some changes to it last meeting. And is there any other changes we should make before we adopt this calendar?
Nope, I don't have any. I really appreciate us moving some of those days around so I can make sure I'm here.
Not a problem. We wouldn't want to miss you.
Yeah.
And just
So
I clarify just to kind of add on to what Commissioner Plath was asking. We can change a regular meeting, the date of a regular meeting, but it has to be done at a motion at least one meeting prior. So if we know a meeting ahead of time, we can just change the date of a special meeting. Since we didn't do that at motion on the last meeting, that's why this is a special meeting. If we'd have known that, we could have just changed it from the 7th to the 14th, but that passed, so we did it this way.
okay,
Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
excellent. We definitely want to keep within the guidelines of the law. So I'll make a motion we approve. I'll make a motion we approve the calendar as presented this time.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Mm-hmm. And so, accounts payable. Questions?
I had one on page 17 where number 19 having to do with the health department at the training site.
Hmm?
Is that their monitoring?
No, every year we have to have our septic system inspected because it's a holding tank system out there, not a
Okay.
regular septic field. And they come in, inspect it, make sure everything's working correctly, and then that's what we pay the fee to them to come do that
Okay, but that's just yearly.
yearly, correct?
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
I was wondering that we had a fuel bill to the co-op, and then in which one is it? 20 or on page 20? We also had just a line item with fuel in there.
That- That's for Nelson Petroleum in Everett. When the guys fuel up in Everett, when they're over at the hospital, the ambulances can fuel up over there.
Oh, okay.
Save
I
them the
know
trip
we were.
downtown.
That was my question. Are we still using them?
Yes,
And it
we
sounds
are.
like we are. Okay. That's all I had.
I got a
Okay.
question on the Northwest safety cleaning. Where's does it sell at Milwaukee? What do you guys send there to have cleaned?
Bunker gear. All the PPE gets sent down there. It just
Okay.
Daryl ran through everything, got everything sent down this year. So all sets have been down there. For their
Oh, cool.
annual
So they go through them and they fix anything that needs to be fixed and whatnot.
Yeah, they also do the inspection where they have to go inside and look at the liners and look at everything. So it's
Yeah.
and they clean them also. So it's a once a year requirement by NFPA. And they come up and actually he gets everything ready. They come and pick them up here at our station, Station 43, and then they deliver them back here the next week, and he gives them another load of stuff. So
How many do they usually do per load? Or
Well, it depends what
like
he
for
can-
for
he can
instance
gather up.
this the 1200 and the 1300, how many does that clean?
well, it depends how many repairs there were in it. I don't have I'd have to get the invoices to look at that detail on that. But
I
I know
mean,
that
you don't have to follow up on that. I was just wondering as a curiosity thing.
Yes, sometimes Daryl's having them, it kind of lumps in. So sometimes they're doing the inspection, sometimes they're doing the cleaning, sometimes they're doing repairs, and sometimes they're doing alterations. So they can add an inch or take off an inch to take a older set of bunker gear and get them to fit a new person or whatever. So it's kind of whatever he's getting out. So it's hard to say. You'd have to look at every invoice to figure out exactly what they did in the breakdown.
I don't need to do that. I was just curious. So thank you for answering that.
All right. Then I'll move that we approve the warrants as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That brings us to staff vehicle purchase.
It was kind of in the plan to purchase one this year, and we kind of went away and came back and went away. I think we have a good opportunity to do it now. We've gone through the battalion rig. I think we do need a pickup that we can just do stuff with here. So getting a half-ton Chevy is what I'm proposing. Then we'll get it here, and then we'll decide if and what canopy and if and what rollout we do. It'll be no radios, the minimal lights. It'll really just be for a staff vehicle so that we can go to the store, go to wherever, haul things around, move things around, training, pallets, whatever the need is.
And what and the Ford Ranger and the Escape are going to get surplus.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because we'll have this plus the old battalion chief coming out. So between this new one and the old battalion chief, we'll be fine, and we can get rid of the Ranger and the Escape and stay with the same size of fleet.
when does the new battalion rig go into service?
We're waiting on the Monroe shop to finish getting parts in so they can go and do the last little bit. So I haven't heard the last timeline. There was no estimate of parts arrival last time I asked, so it should be soon. That's really the last thing that is needed.
Well, thank you.
I noticed on this bid for the pickup, the tax rate that's indicated there, I don't believe that's the sales taxes for Snohomish, or is it for where we purchase it?
I believe that's where we purchase it, and then we'll have another, I forget what it's called, tax when we license it.
That's excise tax.
The excise tax, thank you. So it was the same, it's the state bid, and it goes through that whole thing. It was the same when we did the last battalion. And every once in a while, things change a little bit. So if you are going to make a motion to accept this, I would suggest you say 45 instead of the 40, up to 45. So if a little things change, I don't have to come back to you, because I found that out on the battalion rig when we did that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then I will make a motion that we approve this with a limit of 45,000, potential limit of 45,000.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. And then we go to joint letter, RFA, consulting fee. Okay.
So I sent you the letter that comes from our meeting with the mayor, Chief DeMarco, and Commissioner Smoker. Basically, the letter is just showing all parties involved that we're interested in talking. The local signed it today, so myself and the local signed it. We're waiting for the board action. If you choose to sign it, I'd also recommend doing a motion to pay 20% of the consulting fee. That would be about our rough estimate. That the consultant person is really going to be guiding the conversation. They know all the laws, the legal needs, and so they'll be kind of guiding the process of an RFA so that we're doing it in a logical manner and setting things up legally. As you can see, the 5 interests, that's really what we kind of talked about. We're just looking to make sure that it's at the best interest of the citizens, that we're going to make a better organization, and that there's positive changes within the organization. I think everybody agreed to that. So we're just stating in writing that everybody's on board of talking. Anybody have any questions?
So there's no committal per se to becoming a regional fire authority with these other folks at this time. It's just
Correct.
This, this is just the next step in investigating the possibility that it makes sense. So
Okay.
this is not, we're not jumping into this saying we're going to do this. As I mentioned to Commissioner Merritt earlier today when he asked a couple of questions, I'm guessing that the likelihood that we will go forward with this right now, knowing what I know, is probably less than 50%. I hope it increases rapidly, but we are committing to investigating, to talking with these folks, having a professional RFA organizer, if you want to put it that way,
Mhm.
to help us look at things, figure out whether it really makes sense or not. When we talked with the mayor and Chief DeMarco, the overall consensus was that we would not do this unless it made it resulted in a better organization at the same or fairly close to the same cost. In other words, this is not for money. It's not to go out and get a bunch more money and buy everybody a new truck. It's to give better service across across each of our organizations. If it doesn't work out anywhere along the way, we can drop out with no penalties, all the way up to signing the final papers.
So generally, the way the RFA laws work is we'll meet and we have to put a lot versus a annexation or just a fire district merger, which can be fairly low, doesn't require a lot of documentation. RFA, we have to do a lot of documentation in the plan that's required by the law, saying what we're going to charge, how we're going to do the formula, how we're going to govern, all that stuff. Once that's all done, it would come to all the elected boards, and they would have to agree to put that plan to the voters. That is the only time there's any kind of commitment. Once all the boards agree to put it on the ballot, that is the first and only and last commitment. So until you guys vote to put it to the voters, there is no commitment of any kind.
But money wise, I see that there's different percentages when it comes to how we're going to split up the funding for their paying for this consultant.
Right.
What was do we have an estimated cost at how long, estimated cost, what it's going to cost just to kind of get the information, or how does that break down?
No, it's hard because it's like a lawyer. They just charge by the hour, so there is no. We're not really going to do an RFP or because it's how much we use them.
Okay.
So we decided the three groups decided that we would split it by percent of AV. So that's where we are. We're of the combined three organizations AV, we're 20% of it. So Everett 78% and District 15 is 2%.
Okay.
And once we stop, like if we get 3 months into it and decide that for whatever reason we don't want to continue, then we would stop paying our percent, and they would figure it out amongst themselves what left if they want to continue on.
Yeah. So I would point to the one letter that the chief wrote to the representatives of Everett Fire Department and Fire District 15, which reads, I'll read it. Although Fire District 4 has many stakeholders, the elected Board of Commissioners, IAFF, Local 2694, and the administration of Fire District 4 have all agreed that they are in favor and would like to be involved in the future discussions of a possible regional fire authority. We believe in the following principles, and this is where I think it's extremely important to point this out. This is what we talked about with the mayor and Chief DeMarco. We all agreed on each of these points. One, we have a vested interest in the formation of an RFA. That is, each district has something to give and something to gain. Two, each member of the RFA would have an equal say in its design and future governance. Three, all stakeholders must be involved throughout the process. Four, the design of the RFA must promote an increase in service with little to no increase to the taxpayer. Five, all stakeholders in each jurisdiction must feel positively about any finalized plans. In other words, each entity is going to have equal governance in the final outcome if it goes that far. We're in it for the citizens, for the service, not for the money. And the goal is to provide better service. It's as is the goal of all RFAs that have been put together so far. They've all desired, although I question some of them, they've all stated that they're in it for better service. Personally, I'm in this for better service. If we can't get better service for equal or very little difference in taxpayer involvement, then I'm going to drop out. My vote goes away.
All righty.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion around that at the moment? I know we're going to have lots of questions that come up over the next few weeks, months. And I would encourage everyone involved to ask as many questions as they can. It's not like approving the payroll or something. This is a serious endeavor. It's a serious discussion, and I want everybody to be involved and to get their questions answered and their concerns taken care of.
All right.
So Any other discussion around that? Any other questions at the moment?
No, I don't have any questions. I think that questions really can't be answered. Just kind of like down the road, how it's how it's going to be governance and whatnot. Obviously, that's all negotiated in down the road. So that's really would be my only concern is how that
Yes.
how it looks down the road. But obviously, it's this is just to start the discussion, which I'm okay with.
That is correct. And
But
that might,
at the same time, I really would like to maybe start off with the tough questions because I'd hate to waste a bunch of our money down, spend 2, 3, 4, 5 months having conversations, racking up a bill with the lawyers just to spend the money just to back out rather than,
and I agree 100%.
kind of like dating, like
Therefore-
ask these tough questions right away. Like, hey, so did you want to have kids? It's like, oh, you don't? Okay, well, that's a deal breaker. Let's cut our ties rather than keep
Right.
keep going down that road. So
So I would encourage you, Commissioner Merritt and Commissioner Flath, to figure out those questions, figure out what they are and submit those, because you're exactly right. I mean, it's those we don't want to push those things off until
Yeah.
until we've spent a lot of money and then we found out that, oh well, they want to call it California North or something. I don't know. I mean, it's just there's little things and then there's big things, and we need to figure those out early on.
absolutely.
Any questions that come up anytime, even little questions, even unimportant or seemingly unimportant questions, need to be asked as soon as they come up.
Yeah, I would appreciate it, commissioners, if you just email me those, whatever they are, so I can just keep track of them. And then,
Yes.
and then we can just hit those as soon as we can and when they come up, and I can let everybody know. But email them to me, that way I don't have to try to remember them, and I'll just keep a file, and we'll try to hit them as soon as we can on any of the questions as they come up.
Yes.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditure of 20% of the cost initially, up and until the time we either continue on with the process or decide to drop out.
I second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, so now, that brings us to contract addendum.
So like the at issue says, really it's a cleanup in one article of my contract so that we can clearly bill if I go do work for an agency that's outside the district. If I can bill, or if the district can bill, and I'm doing work for something outside the district, then I get overtime. If both of those can't happen, then I don't get overtime. It has to be outside the district, and then we have to be able to bill a third party.
I had a question, when this was being put together, our legal folks, did not, think this was a wise idea, I guess. Is that how I understand what was said before?
Well, Sophia, with Chief going out and me, you guys advised me to have a lawyer look at it, which I just had a friend look at it. And then once that happened, Sophia wouldn't talk to me about it. So there was little to no conversation about it. She just looked at it, I think, she has no idea about federal billing like I've worked with. So she softened it up to be Mays instead of Wills, like any lawyer will for the district side. However, once you put a May in there, then the at least the federal and state government aren't going to do it. So a May means it won't happen, because they basically will allow us, and not just for me, but anything. If we got into the CBA that anytime a person went on state MOB, they will get whatever paid, then we can bill for that. But it has to be contractually required by the agency to be able to do it. And so a May is not contractually required. So she did soften it up, but she doesn't understand how we can or can't bill to the federal folks. And so I've dealt with this most of my career. So I know what the language has to be if we want to do it.
Can you explain exempt position? What
So,
what does,
An FLA exempt position means that I don't get overtime. So I work as much as it takes to get the job done. If I work 90 hours a week for the district, I get the same pay as if I worked 40 hours a week. And so
Okay.
because my contract is exempt, if this language wasn't in there, the federal government would say, great, you worked 170 hours this week for us. You're just going to get your regular wage. And that's all we're going to pay for.
I see.
But with this language, then we can pay for 130 hours of overtime if I work 170 hours in a week. And the district gets all that money back. So it's a no cost.
So I know this has to do, I think, with some of your helping out with large fires and things like that as well, where you've done that in the past. So this is where your experience comes from, the language that needs to
Correct.
be in here. Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
exactly.
I just wanted, and I wanted to make sure I understood about why the lawyer, when she put this, helped put it together for us, did what she did, or at least seemingly understand why she might have done what she did anyway.
Correct. She's just trying to make it easier for you guys to say no to not paying me overtime if you didn't want to. But again, giving you that option takes the ability for us to bill for it out.
Okay. The other question I had is you mentioned here Washington DNR. What would, and you mentioned also federal. So federal would take into account if they ask you to go, let's say, to Oregon?
Well,
Or
federal would
Idaho?
be anything. Federal would even be if we just went 60 miles up the road to the Snoqualmie Baker National Forest. So federal is anytime it's on
Oh, okay.
Park Service, Forest Service, BLM, Bureau of Indian Affairs, National Park Service. So basically, if the federal government is paying for whatever reason, it's federal. But for us, it's always the DNR because we bill through the DNR, even if it's on a federal. So we have to meet DNR rules because they're who we charge through, and then we have to meet the rules of what they call the host agency, and that's wherever whatever jurisdiction the fire is located on, or the
I see.
flood or the hurricane, or because FEMA can call the teams if it's a hurricane, so that would be federal too. So it's really kind of twofold.
Okay. Then I had a question about on page 32
Yes.
in the little block there. I noticed you have Mike Gatterman's name in the thing I'm looking at.
No. Yeah. Why do we have
I'm
that?
wondering, I was wondering how he fits in on this.
No, that was just a mistake from an old version. I will correct that.
Okay, I just want to make sure,
Thanks for covering for me,
catch.
Commissioner.
Is that Mike's overtime, huh?
He gets a share because he's the finance guy. So you didn't know that he takes a cut of everybody's pay.
Oh, I see.
Sounds like a good
Okay.
deal.
Well, thank you for explaining that. That's very helpful.
No problem. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'll make a motion, we approve that new contract addendum with the change of removing Mike Gatterman from there.
I second that motion.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, IT services. So let's talk about IT services.
So this, I don't think you guys have to do a motion because I think I can sign it. You guys can if you want. It falls within our normal budget, our
Yes.
already line item for next year. But I wanted, it's a fairly big expense and a fairly big change for the foreseeable future. So I wanted you guys to know, we haven't been very happy with IT outsource, and I think you could ask Bill, Mike, anybody in the office. It's been a frustrating 6 months, and so Audion is who, obviously, you know, who our phone RFP got awarded to. Our phone will now be a VoIP and everything over the internet and fiber, and so they offered to do a bid, and it's a little bit below what we're spending. So it's a monthly fee for service versus a pay as you go with IT outsourced, but it's about, Mike, I think we've been averaging about 3,000 a month with IT services, IT outsourced lately, and so this is a little bit less than that.
When you talk about your IT services, is that all the various ones that we see in the billing? And this would all be just under these folks then?
I don't know exactly everything we bill for. It should be most of what we do, and anything that says IT outsource is the vendor. Mike, can you think of anything that wouldn't be in here? I mean, we pay for some softwares that wouldn't be in this, and some virus protection and things like that. Hardware wouldn't be in this.
All the programs we buy basically, and then they do all the installing.
Yeah.
And upgrades to the firewalls and.
So it's not any of the programming, not any of the hardware. It's the making sure all that is running properly and working together. Jim, you want to add anything?
So it would probably not include service like internet service and stuff like that, the cost
Correct.
of the service. It's
Correct.
it's once we get that into the building, it's pretty much everything else that it's attached to that. That's a general statement, not an absolute.
I also had another question. It seemed like in there that they talked about credit cards and that they would bill a credit card. Or did I not read that right?
You know, it's the same as like the phone RFP. That is their standard contract. You asked about it when we did the phone RFP,
Right.
and we just ignore it. We're set up with them to bill like all of our other vendors, and this will be the same, but it's just part of their contract. They don't take it out. It's just there, and I don't sign that part, and we just set them up as all of our other AP is set up. So initially they wanted to do net 15. We talked to them. They're net 30, like all of our other vendors. So they've agreed to all of our terms, like all of our other vendors. And so we'll bill the same way with this too. And we talked about it. We'll lump the bill into one probably. So our monthly phone bill that you agreed to, and this bill will be lumped into one invoice, and we'll just be getting one invoice with them.
Okay.
Do you know if anybody else around us uses Audion?
Not too many governments, so that'll be a new thing. IT outsource does do other places around us, other fire departments, other government, but the service has been atrocious, and we've complained about it, and until we told them that we were going with somebody else, they finally started offering solutions. But Bill and I kind of felt that it was too little, too late.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been with them for quite a while. Did something change in their organization over the last year or so?
Our one person changed a while back. Mike, do you remember when that changed? But I don't know if anything else changed the last 6 months.
No, it's supposed to be right before you came, I believe. We changed the guy that used to be our on-site guy went into management, and they brought a new guy in. And there's just been some big missed things that have caused a lot of problems this last 6 months that shouldn't have happened.
He's made changes, and then none of our office people could get into their computers for a day, a half a day, and then a part that got me is then we would pay them $200 an hour to come and fix the thing that they broke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But did Audion come highly recommended by somebody, or?
Just through the phone RFP, all the research we did on that. They do have a big they are a big player in this, just not with the government, just like the phone. We're kind of, I wouldn't say they're first, but they're definitely not, government isn't their normal client, but being with their phone, being with them with a phone, we thought this was a good, seamless, trial.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Worst case scenario, we find somebody else.
Correct. And that's what Bill and I talked about.
Okay.
But our phones are basically going to be computers now, so having two, they'd be working on the kind of the same parts at different times. So we also thought this would be good to try it now. So the phones are just going to be switches for our computers, and it's going to be all computer based. So we think there's some efficiency to be gained there when we have one place to call when we're not sure what's screwing up.
Okay.
And as I read through it, it's for like a 1 year at least for starters.
Correct.
Correct?
1 year with an automatic renewal unless canceled by either party.
Okay.
And that's why I say it's really kind of a trial.
We average $9,700 a month. We're at 106,668 after 11 months with previous company.
That's a bit much.
Yeah, our
Unless they're
3,000
giving us
is
more
way out
computers
there.
every month.
Yeah, I'm trying to be very politically, but the service has been, I can't stress enough how unhealthy it's been.
Alrighty.
Okay, so thank you for that. Any other questions about the new service before we move on?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, policies. Let's take these one at a time. Nepotism. Questions? I had one, but I'll let you guys go first.
I found something on page 52. Under 3.4,
Okay,
the fourth bullet.
Okay.
okay.
There should, I do believe it's now reads or, and I think of would be better in there. Is it here? It's the second line, one or.
Gotcha.
of
Yep.
the employees.
Yep, I see it. That is correct.
So I'm not seeing what you're talking about.
It's the very end of the second line of the fourth bullet. Comma, one of the,
Oh, one or, yeah, got it. Yes. Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, I had one question on 5.2, immediate family definition.
yes.
I know it's not necessarily immediate family, but typically nephews, which aren't immediate family, can have conflicts or create conflicts. Nephews and nieces.
Yes. We can add that in. I just asked the lawyer to give us what was the baseline.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's real important, but I just happen to know that nephews and nieces, in my past experience, unfortunately, not my own personal nephews and nieces, but it can cause problems.
And I have no problem adding that in if you guys would like.
What do you other guys think? Is it worth
Yeah,
it or not?
I agree.
I think that's good, yeah.
Okay.
Would aunts and uncles be part of it too, or are we,
Well, aunts and uncles. Yeah, I guess that's, if it's your nephew, then you're an uncle or an aunt, right? or if
Yeah.
it's your niece,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that, I think that, I mean, you can put that in there, but I think it's implied. Because if you are a nephew, then you have to have an uncle or an aunt.
Maybe
Right.
sisters and brothers.
And so one of the parties, it would be their nephew or their niece.
Right. Okay.
But that's fine. We can put that in there too. I don't think we need to put neighbors in there, but
No.
Okay, I got those two.
okay. So I'll make a motion. We approve the nepotism policy with those changes.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the list is the records request policy.
So the one thing in my ad issue that I forgot to mention was, in our previous policy, we had a charge, but we just weren't doing it, which can cause an issue because if you're not charging most people, if for some reason you want to charge, then it becomes a fairness issue. So what we did with this, I talked to our records specialist. You know, it's really a pain for us to charge somebody if they get 3 copies and charge them 15 cents. So what we did is we put a dollar limit, if you said in there, $10. So if it's under $10, no matter who requests it, no matter why they request it, we're not charging. If it's going to be over $10 a total, then we're going to charge no matter who requests it or who does it. So that we thought that was a good, simple line. I asked Brian Stern, he said that's fine. So that way, if we get the records requests that come in, that's going to take us, 2.5 years and 17 boxes of stuff we can charge, and they can't pull a fairness card on it. So most people, Sherry couldn't think of a time that somebody asked for a records request that would have been over the $10. So 99% of the people aren't going to get charged, but if we have that big request, we are being fair and even on our application of our policy.
So as I read through here, I read all the way down to that $10 charge. And it says the district may also charge for the actual cost of any container envelope. The record specialist may waive copying fees as a matter of administrative convenience for small requests. Let's see, the record specialist may waive copying fees or use of general record fees as a matter of administrative convenience for small requests. So those are all, I mean, it goes on, there's a whole bunch of those. I would say that if it's a may in the whole, and every one of those things, and then later we say if it's $10 or less, we just won't charge you, you're kind of saying, okay, what is a small request? Because it's not defined until, and even when we get down to the $10 thing, it doesn't say that that's for small requests. So maybe that would fix it if you just said, if the job is a small job for convenience of the whatever, we'll not charge for jobs that total $10 or less. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think if we just say a small request will be considered $10 or less, and the district will waive.
Yeah. So in other words, if you define, because you keep saying several times, it says, now I'm going to find one again. Oh, yeah, there we go. Like this, the specialist may waive copying fees as a matter of administrative convenience for small requests. So if you define what a small request is as something less than $10, then all the rest of that becomes fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you keep the waive of the $10 fee, if they keep that paragraph the way it is, then you got to go back and change every other one to say the same thing or something.
Yeah, so I changed it to a small request will be considered $10 or less, and the district will waive the fees identified in this section.
Sure.
Is that good?
Yeah.
That sounds
Okay.
good.
You guys, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the may could cause problems down the line.
Unless
So
we define it.
That's correct. and what a small is. So I believe that's a good approach.
Okay.
Would it be possible to maybe see this, maybe not pass it tonight, but see how the chief works it all together, has the folks before we would pass that? Just to
Sure,
make
we can
sure.
table that till next time.
Yeah, but I had a couple other thoughts as well.
Go ahead.
Okay. On page 54, the first bullet, I was wondering how does that match up with on page 56, the last bullet, the second sentence?
And then that was 56. Which one?
I said the second, the last bullet, well, maybe I got that wrong, but my point was that it talked about Sherry Gatterman being the specialist,
Yeah.
and it mentioned that she's not here all the time. And yet on page 54, there at the beginning, it talks about someone being here to receive that, the record specialist generally available every day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, generally is the key word there. Generally available,
Generally.
not always available.
Yeah,
Okay,
and it goes through because we don't have a defined. So I asked Brian about that. We don't have a defined schedule for Sherry. So
okay,
she may be here at basically any time during those times at any day. So she might be here on a Friday one week, but not on the next week. And so generally those are the times you can find her if because of workload and budget constraints, which is the part of her part-time and all that, she might not be there. But you're not going to find her before 8 or after 5 or on weekends. So I did mention that to Brian. He
no
said,
matter when it is.
correct,
Yeah.
exactly. So he just
Right,
kind of said
okay.
that still works.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we were all, if somebody would come and she's not here, how they would, well, your
Yeah.
policy says, and, but generally is a good word.
Yeah.
I think that's good. And then on page 60, I noticed that there is no 4.4.
Oh yeah. I wonder what
Oh,
happened
good
there.
catch. I didn't catch that.
Okay.
I didn't, maybe there was something there and you didn't like it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? When as we were writing it, it might have been an extra accidental tab, or who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
On the bottom of page 58, 3.9, the last bullet, medical incident reports, the first sentence down at the end, the district has a 5 in the middle of it. I'm not sure why.
Okay. Have that one too.
And then I was looking at the record request paperwork that's required there.
Yep.
And I noticed on, what was it, page 65, that there doesn't seem to be any place to check things that might be there. I know there's little dooflickies. I don't know what else to call them.
Too flicky. I like that.
But there's no place to put a check mark or something like that,
Yeah, I wonder if that when we moved it to the PDF, if that got. We'll
Probably.
figure that out. Sometimes that's when you
Okay.
go from a Word font to a PDF font, they don't recognize it.
I always wondered
Okay.
what those were called. Now I know. Dooflickies.
Well, let's see if that makes the minutes.
Okay.
Uh,
Excellent catches. Excellent catches, guys.
Well, that's why I was hoping maybe to table this one anyway till next time. So
Yes,
see
we'll need to table it.
if that's permissible to do that.
Oh yeah.
So
No,
anything else? Yeah, anything else on the records request policy?
I don't have anything else, no.
I don't
All
know.
right, then we'll table that till next time with revisions, and we'll move on to data breach. Questions about this one?
I had one, just a question under 3.4. The bullet there. Um, I know this has to do, it sounds like the Secretary of U.S. Health and Human Services. It sounds like we don't have to report it, or there's no need to report smaller ones
Correct.
under,
So I asked Brian, because there was a couple questions. All this is verbatim out of the statute.
okay,
So we don't really have a choice in any of this wording.
okay,
So yes, the statute says if it's under 500, we don't have to. If it's over 500, we have to.
When it concerns patient healthcare information.
Right.
right. But we would probably want to do that here within our district if there was a breach or our people. Let them know.
Well, we would
that.
notify the people, but we wouldn't notify the Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Okay. That's the only question I had on that one.
Okay?
We have
Any
a
other
pretty good
questions?
we have a pretty good system in place to avoid being hacked, obviously.
That's what IT outsource says, and that's what we'll ask Audion to check.
Yeah,
That's kind of the things they do. But yes, that's the firewall and the other things. That's the idea.
And we've never been hacked before.
don't say that.
Whoa,
Not that we know.
hey, I'll knock on wood. Yeah.
No. So I have been, since we started this years and years ago, long before I became a commissioner, I've been impressed with the level of security that we've implemented. Even early on, when we first went from regular computers to a server and then grew from there, we've really had Chief Shear has always been up on top of that and up with the technology. And we spent a lot of dollars on the sonic wall and the annual maintenance on that and everything else that goes along with that. So like I said, I've always been impressed, and I don't know that we can do anything else to be any better prepared to prevent any kind of data breach. But
Good to hear.
if the FBI can be hacked, and if banks can be hacked, and TransUnion or Experian or whoever it was that got hacked, I think it was TransUnion, if they can get hacked, we can probably get hacked. The question is, what would they gain by hacking us?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if somebody wanted to hack somebody, they'd probably choose a better target,
I agree.
hopefully.
Yep.
Anyway. So any other questions on the data breach policy?
No,
I'll make a motion. We approve the data breach policy as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. I didn't hear that, but hopefully you guys. said aye.
Yep.
Okay.
I said aye.
Okay, good. I figured you did, but I can't. Okay, electronic signature. Any questions about this policy?
This is a new one, it appears.
Correct. The
Be-
data breach and the electronic signature are both new.
Yes.
Okay.
This is becoming more and more popular these days.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, wet signatures are hard to get.
Yeah.
Would you repeat that again?
They call it wet signatures when you sign it with a real pen. They're harder and harder to get nowadays because a lot of businesses are working online.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, in the past year, I've probably signed 4 or 5 contracts and never seen the person or the paper. Just sign them online.
Yeah.
Review, sign, and send them in.
Me too. With the houses I've sold, all of that stuff's done.
Yeah. So any questions about this, concerns? Any fives in the middle of a word or anything?
I didn't catch anything, so.
I didn't see anything.
Woohoo, we got
Okay.
one.
Okay. Was that real or not?
No, no, that was a enthusiastic. He's excited that we
Oh,
didn't
I
have
see.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah, we made
So I'll
it
make a
through.
motion, we approve the electronic signature policy.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Then that brings us down to district staff and work group comments.
So we received our LNI rates finally, at the end of last week, and we have a pretty good reduction. I was expecting they were gonna go up again this year, but the district, the employer side sees about a 36 cents reduction,
Wow,
so it was pretty good. We're still
That
over
is pretty good.
250, but we're getting down there, and the employee side saw, I think, a 6 cent reduction, so.
excellent. Any other staff or work group comments? Then we'll go to the fire
I think
chief.
I'm up too. I think this is where I'm supposed to talk.
Oh.
I submitted the ops report to the PAC. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
I can.
All right. I submitted the ops report for October and November.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see I only included the automatic and mutual aid calls that we ran with District 7, both with Everett and with South County. It was less than 5 either way. So I didn't include those. There was about a 20% drop in calls for us from November or October to November, which going back over the calls for the year, I couldn't really attribute to anything. I checked the calls for today, back the last 30 days, and it's about the same, about 280 calls is what we're at from 30 days prior. So my assumption is that has to do with the shutdown that started in early November. We have the apparatus I listed on here with the speaking with Craig. We have an expected in-service time of mid-January, maybe for Battalion 43. I know that we're waiting on parts to Monroe, and we haven't really gotten a timeline on that, but that's what we're hoping for, mid-January. The load systems were mounted into the 3 ambulances. There was one that needed a warranty repair, and it has been completed. We had the new hydraulic extrication tools that have been mounted on engine 41, and those also now are in need of repair. We put them through the paces this weekend apparently, and they will be needing some repair as well. We have the staffing going on. We had a large, a lot of movement over the last couple months. So Aaron, his hammer has gone into training to replace Greg right now, who's filling the battalion spot for Craig, who is in the other interim deputy chief spot. And so I come out this week, and Greg starts January 1st in this interim deputy chief spot, and I will go to fill that BC spot where Craig and Greg have both vacated, and then go to training February 15th that cover Greg's spot still when Craig comes back. We're doing a shift realignment based upon the specialty rescue and hazmat courses that people have signed up for, and the promotional lists that have been established or are about to be established. So there needs to be some reshuffling as far as where people are at. And that has been completed and will be gone over tomorrow at the the chiefs meeting with an implementation, I think, of February 1st. We have 3 employees that are under quarantine for 14 days. I think they come back 22nd. And we did have to reschedule the lieutenant's test because of that. It was supposed to be on Thursday the 10th. And I believe have a tentative date now of January 27th to do the lieutenant's test. And then we'll be all good to go. That will be about the same time that we have completed the hires for the 5 new paramedics. It's really all I have for you. I just want to thank you guys and Chief Waller. I think being in this position for the last 12 weeks has been pretty exciting. I've learned a lot about myself and the organization, so it certainly has been an opportunity for growth for me, and it's been exciting. So thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
And thank you for participating.
Yeah, thank you for your hard work.
Yep.
I did have a question about, have they done the interviews for the paramedics yet, or is that still on the schedule?
It's on the schedule. It will be, I think, January 19th is the last day of interviews. We have 2 blocks of interviews, 2 days for the experienced list, and then 2 days for the inexperienced, and then that will finish up on January 19th.
Copy.
All right, Chief, I believe you're up now.
Yep. Thank you, Whit. And as you guys see, you'll be seeing a new face every so often. And Whitney's the second one to complete, and it's been fun and interesting and challenging in ways that I didn't expect, and beneficial in ways I didn't expect. So we only have about 8 more months of this, so you'll see lots of faces. He kind of talked about it. We had the 3 that got exposed to COVID that we are having off shift for 14 days. That happened the same day that we had a medical emergency with one of our staff members here at the station. So it was a rough and busy day that was threw us for lots of different directions. But we all handled it well, and the staff members back to work, and with a fairly good prognosis. We think only time will tell. But it was definitely stressed our organization through that, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours. Like they said, the lieutenant's test got rescheduled. One other thing is we're starting our rating with the Washington State Survey and Rating Bureau. So I had my initial meeting with the person a couple weeks ago to kind of figure out all the stuff we have to do, and we'll be collecting that data the best we can over the next few weeks, and we'll keep you posted of what he comes back with on that. That basically is going to set what our residents get charged for their fire insurance. So I don't see any issues with that we shouldn't drop, and it'll kind of give us a good barometer of if and where we can work to lower it, or if we just kind of are where we are and we'll just keep moving ahead with our plans. But we'll be able to use that to incorporate into our standard of cover and other strategic planning that we'll be doing over the next year. And that's all I have.
Excellent. All right, commissioner comments?
I had a question for the chief, if that's possible.
Of course.
I was wondering if what kind of planning we've done for receiving the COVID shots here.
So the county, the county chiefs as a whole are working on that. South County is going to be the receiver of it, and they have the cold temperature units coming in. We have one with the county, and I believe we just got briefed today. I believe we're going to get some this week sometime. I don't remember the exact date, and then the week after that is when we'll get more freezers and get more shipments. Right now, the tentative plan is to start administering shots around Christmas. They're still not right before or right after, but basically somewhere in that last week or so of December is when we'll start as a county administering it to all the first responders. Firefighters are going to be trained to do it within the county, and so we're going to give it to ourselves. Right now, what the county is trying to work on is there is a fair amount of side effect on the second shot. Nothing bad, but as far as fever and stuff like that the recommendation right now is if any of our members get those side effects, that we should keep them from coming to work until they are not having it, because you can't differentiate a side effect symptom from a infection symptom. So what we're really trying to do is work at a timing that we can give the shots that a small enough percentage of our workforce could be that symptomatic from the symptoms that we can all handle it. So really that's the kind of the logistical challenge, is getting a rolling timeout of the shots. And you have to do the first ones with a rolling timeout because you got to get the second ones. The first ones don't have the symptoms that usually require that, or a much smaller percentage. But if we don't figure that rollout for the first set, it won't work for the second set. So the chiefs are meeting twice a week with that plan to try to figure out how we're going to get that all rolled out and how we get the people through in a nice, even manner of each organization.
So
Is it-
I heard on the news this morning that, and this was just one reporter's take on it, so it's not CDC, it's not Pfizer, it's not anybody else, but that by Christmas, that everyone, all the first responders, medical personnel, and nursing homes would be taken care of.
So we
How
haven't got
close do you
good,
think that really is?
we haven't got good numbers on the Moderna, and there's actually another vaccine. So Moderna figures
Johnson &
last
Johnson.
estimate, Johnson & Johnson, yeah. So the Moderna, they figure, is going to be here after Christmas sometime, and the Johnson & Johnson in the first 2 weeks of January. We don't have numbers on that. So the only hard numbers we have is for the Pfizer vaccine, and roughly, and with the whole state, we don't know how it's going to get through county to county and who's going to want it and who's not, but we only have committed right now for sure enough vaccine to do about half of the healthcare workers in Washington. Obviously, that's one vaccine of 3 that are going to be here in a month, so we'll probably hit that. But we are talking today that we probably won't get through our first round until mid to end of January, just because of trying to space out and timing. So even if the vaccines are here, we're not going to do everybody in 4 days, even if we had the vaccine, because that doesn't make sense. So we're still looking at end of January-ish target to be done with the first
That would make
round.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's going to be rapidly changing, and so it's also likely that everything I tell you tonight is going to be changed tomorrow.
Yes.
It's one of those things that we're just going to have to live with over the next couple of weeks. Of it is what it is that day, and we deal with what the information is that day, and we keep moving towards our goal.
Right. That's the way it's been for 10 months.
Correct.
Is our union on board of taking the shots? Or how does
I
that
believe so.
work?
So they're not going to be required. We got a little more in depth than that. The U.S. and there's not even any case law that would. Everybody's saying that you can require vaccines. That's approved vaccines. This is technically not approved, and emergency approval is not an approval. So most of the opinion is you couldn't require a non-approved, fully approved vaccine. That won't happen until the summer. Our state has right now said that they would not require any of the vaccines for any occupation. And so I would never recommend requiring something that's not either required by the state or the feds. The last federal vaccine that was required was smallpox. So point being is it's still going to be optional. So we haven't really broached that because each individual is going to make their own choice. We're not going to require it. It's not going to be a mandate. So we haven't really negotiated with labor because it is just going to be an individual choice.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other commissioner comments?
Yeah, I was wondering how our personal protection equipment supplies are holding up at this time, since we're using them frequently when we go out on calls and stuff like that.
So we're doing good. All of us, again, through that same county thing, are working together to order order our supplies, and so we're staying ahead of it through that bulk ordering. Us individually as Snohomish 4, we're also doing our own, and we're not getting behind. As a group, when we talk to all the chiefs, the only thing that we're really finding we're not having a problem, but the only thing that's really having a problem right now is gloves. So gloves are hard for some agencies to find, but we District 4 have been ordering far enough ahead and keeping up far enough stock. We're not in any danger with any of our PPE.
That's good to hear. For our residents' sake, you know, that we're ready to go no matter what. So that's good.
So how's the cost been on gloves and this equipment over the last year since before and since this started?
You know, it definitely went up in that first few months. I've kind of blurred. Maybe Mike can remind me, but I don't know. Remember when we started buying February, March? Those first few months, it was like daily things were jumping up. But after that, it's pretty much plateaued and it hasn't gone down. But it's also staying pretty. I don't know. The last 6 months, it's just kind of is what it is. Versus what those first few months, it was like. You know, you checked on Amazon hourly to see if you needed to buy again.
Yeah, we've used quite a few gloves, and right before this hit, I bought 9,000 pair of gloves, and not because of this, it was because it was a good price at an auction. I got them for about $25 per thousand, and then this thing hit, so I was really happy because now. What we used to pay retail about 124 a thousand for is now about 3 times that.
Yeah, and like I said, that first 3 months everything skyrocketed, and then it's just kind of like I said, it didn't go down, but at least it leveled off.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, commissioners? Chief?
I was wondering how our brush truck is coming along over in Yakima.
Yeah, it's in Yakima. They've been doing little things. It went to the paint shop. I don't know if it's got back yet. That's the last update I heard. We are putting new leaf springs in it so that we can up the weight capability and really just the design. So they're not going to get into their part until because they subcontract out the paint and the leaf springs, and we got to get new tires for it. And so once all that stuff gets done, is then they'll start the fabrication on their end.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Going once, going twice. All right, with that, then I will close the meeting at 20:13 hours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night, everyone.